Salut! Welcome back to this channel. Thank you so much for watching already. Today I'm building a windmill, which was a super fun project, and it took me about 9 hours. So I just want to let you know that right now you're only watching the outside. The inside is gonna be the video right after this one, so feel free to watch that one next. As always, if you're interested in playing in this build, it's fully play tested, so should work just fine. There's a link in the video description, it's the very first one, can't miss it, which leads to my Patreon, where you can obtain this build for free. Obviously, they're always gonna stay free. So you can just click on that. It also tells you how to use tray files if you've never done that before. So no problems there, and I'd be delighted to hear or if you let me know that you played in this, I would love that. So yeah, there's also a CC list complete with links right there in the Patreon post, because this build does contain some CC. It's actually only free CC. This contains the country set part 2, which I think is already out for public access by now, or at least it will be very soon whenever you're watching this, so no worries about that. It only contains CC by Peacemaker, Harry, and a free door by Alexandre. So yeah, no worries about that, and feel free to let me know if you play in this or have any other feedback. I'd love to hear your opinions. So today I'm back here with Lewis.
Hello.
And we are so prepared to lead you through this speed build.
Barely.
Oh yeah, the shell is already almost built, by the way.
Okay, so first of all, I have some things written down, but I want to ask, why a windmill? Why?
You're asking me?
Yes, you built it, didn't you?
Oh, I think I did. I really like the thought. No, I really like the thought of having this really old building and renovating it to become something to live in. And also I think windmills are just really cool. I thought it's also cool to build this in The Sims, because there's obviously no windmill object. So I built this myself with debug items, and it was just a fun project, something to figure out instead of just building. So I enjoyed that part, but also I think windmills are just really cool. They're very pretty. I think I've only seen an actual windmill twice in my life. One was in the Netherlands, I think, and it was beautiful. And it's just a cool type of building, I think.
So you've never been in a windmill?
Inside?
Yes.
No.
Is that like a dream of yours?
I potentially. It's not something I dream of every night, but are you gonna tell me you've been in a windmill?
I think so, yes.
You've been inside of a windmill?
Yeah. I don't know where or when, and I have no proof.
This really sounds like a lie, you know that, right?
Okay, I'm not lying. Why would I be lying about being in a windmill?
It's just a cool fact. It's like a little too cool to be true.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are a couple of them outside of Berlin.
Okay.
It's exciting, but to an extent.
I mean, they're not in use anymore, as far as I know, right?
I think some of them are.
Oh, for like museum purposes?
Okay,
to show people how it was done?
Yeah, so in Germany most of them aren't really in use anymore, but in the US you have like in rural areas with no real water supply or whatever, they'll still use windmills to pump the water.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it also seems like a kind of very inefficient way to deal with things, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, it has worked for a long time.
It has, but that doesn't mean it's the best way to do it.
That's true.
This looks crazy.
Thank you.
That wasn't a compliment.
Hey, I'm using the tool mod right here to build this crazy thing, and this is a debug fence. And then a little later on, I'll be using some snowy escape doors to complete the wings. So this might all look a little crazy. Actually, why I have this little foundation piece right there sticking out is because I wanted this to be invisible when you're actually in a playable level, a like story of the windmill. So that's why I'm doing this. So it'll belong to the roof story part thing. But then later on, when I'm doing the doors, I'm actually forgetting to do that.
All right.
So I basically did this for no reason. It didn't work out in the end. But I think it's still very playable. Sorry about that, though.
This looks super tedious.
It was. As I said, this took 9 hours, but it was also incredibly fun.
Well, I'll take your word for it. See, okay, I have some history about the windmill.
Yeah, and please enlighten me.
Most of these facts are rather okay. See, windmills don't have the most exciting history, but I'll just go over them quickly anyways. So
you can make it exciting.
History dates back 3,700 years.
Wait, let me think about that.
That's 2 millennia BC.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
my god, that's incredible.
Yes. So basically the history is that there are some reports of a Babylonian ruler named Hammurabi. Shout out.
Sounds
I hope
a little
I'm
like
not,
Hammurabi, if I may say that.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, so if he hears this, please let me know. So supposedly he wanted to use windmills or some kind of contraption to provide water to his lands, but there is no proof of him actually building one, and I think it didn't succeed.
But that was for farming? Am I getting that right?
Just to get water out to everyone.
Oh.
From like water reserves and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently that didn't work for some reason. But he was like the first one who really popularized the idea. But then it took another 1,500 years later for the Greek boy Hieron of Alexandria.
Our good Greek boy.
Hieron of Alexandria, who built one of the first windmills ever to be used as an organ. Not like a anatomy organ, but like the instrument to power it. Which is kind of cool, I thought.
Wait, is he using the windmill as an organ, or is the windmill powering the organ?
Yeah, you got it.
So it provides the wind that is needed to build up the actual...
At least that's what I was thinking. I don't know how you would actually use a windmill for an organ.
Yeah, why don't you ask him?
Okay, listen. So I also don't know if it was like a proper size windmill. I'm guessing not. But organs are pretty big, so you tell me.
Am I mistaken in thinking they were even bigger back then?
Probably. I think it was like a small... Because even back then in like China, they had these kind of prayer wheels that were little windmills. They just didn't really do anything. They were really small. They put them up and pray in front of them. So the idea was there. He was just the first one to kind of use that energy and put it in something mechanical. Yeah, how crazy is that?
That really crazy.
So thanks to music, we now have food and water.
So how did that change then? I mean, the thought of using it for an organ would have never occurred to me. So what happened then?
Well, many years passed, and the first like pre-modern windmills that we're like seeing right now, which you're building, they became popular in the 8th and 9th century.
Okay.
First in the Middle East and like West Asia, and yeah, basically they're very, very kind of basic. They didn't really have any. There was just like one kind, basically was only doing one thing, and then.
And the thing it was doing was.
Just spinning. No, and they were from what I understand, they were basically just like pumping water or making food.
Wait, how are they making food?
They're like grinding for flour or whatever. And then it kind of came to Europe and went to several cycles of innovation and renditions, and kind of separated into three groups of windmills that exist
Okay.
in the 11th century. First of all, there's the post windmill, which is kind of like the one that you're building now, where you just kind of have a big post on which the blades are positioned.
Okay.
And it kind of spins. The thing about, from what I understand, I'm not some kind of windmill expert, so this is all.
You sound like one right now.
I know, thanks. So from what I can tell, the post windmill wasn't able to turn, so you just build it.
Wait, this one turns.
No. I'm not. The blades can still turn, but the whole thing can't move depending on where the wind comes from.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Right.
definitely.
And then there were two other kinds: the tower windmill and the smock windmill. Which the tower windmill is just basically like a large tower, and it has a rotating top, which the blades are mounted on, and then whatever direction the wind comes on, it would turn.
Okay, smart.
Of course, yes. And then the smock one is kind of the same.
Smog like smoke and fog?
No, like smock.
Oh.
SMOCK.
Okay.
And the only difference I could really tell is that it looks a little different, and the blades are slanted. They're not.
Okay.
They're not like
That's right.
They're not straight. And it could also turn though. Yeah, and then the Netherlands were like, well, let's just order 5 million of them.
Yeah, that's where I went to see
There you
my
go.
personal windmill.
Yeah, and they're kind of the first ones to base their industry on windmills. Yeah, and then the height was reached in like 1930, actually, which is kind of weird given the whole timeline. Where in the US alone, this is a number that I could not confirm, but I read it somewhere. The US had 600,000 windmills back then. They were just for pumping water.
That is insane. That number is absolutely insane.
See, I don't know if it's true though. It might be insane, but I don't know if it's true. But that's what I could pull up. But if that's true, there's a lot of windmills.
It is.
And they already started making electricity in 1887. That's when they kind of started popularizing the idea of a windmill not just being able.
How would that wait? I'm gonna have to ask about the traditional windmill uses first.
Yes.
This might be a dumb question, but I feel like I'm talking to an expert here, so I'm
No,
just gonna
you're
ask
not.
it. What would they need all this inside space for? Like that whole building, right? The top part is what's turning, is where it's getting the wind and stuff. And then if they're using it for grinding, somewhere in there must be a stone used for grinding and some space to store,
Right.
like flour or
I guess, yes.
whatever. So would you think that's what all the inside is used for? Because it's a big building, right?
Sure, but
it feels really big.
if you think about like the things we use now for pumping water, they're enormous. Like you can build entire rooms of like valve systems and pipes and.
But they're also connected to a lot of to so much area, and these mills were only there for small villages, right? Because there was no infrastructure to get the stuff to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Places.
I wasn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Although I mean, in 1930 there was.
I was thinking they would be built like around lakes and whatnot. So.
Like this tiny little one I'm putting right there.
Exactly. No, they'd be like built next to lakes and maybe not in popular villages. So maybe a person would have to live there. So that would account for the space. Or they would have.
The miller would live there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And take care of maintenance and whatnot. And then you would also have to have a pump system and man, I don't know. I don't know what it also needs quite some structure to actually hold the windmill. I think it's quite heavy.
Oh yeah, probably.
So okay, hold on. So then
yeah, especially with like storms and stuff.
Yeah, it has to
it
hold.
Would catch the wind. That's
right.
Its purpose.
That's the point. Now I don't know if you can take the blades off, but I'm guessing not, because that would sound like a hassle.
Who would?
Exactly.
Who could you pay to do that?
Then in 1941, so still during the Second World War, they actually came up with the first like megawatt kind of mill that could produce actual usable electricity.
Amazing.
That was pretty cool. And now there are more than 350,000 windmills, wind turbines. Sorry, they're now different. We don't build them like that anymore.
They're not. I mean, they're not mills anymore. It does make sense, right? They're not used for.
Oh,
milling.
you know why why they're built like that? Because they have to be really high, and they didn't really know how to build like strong towers back then. They were just kind of thin.
That does make a lot of sense.
There you go. Because the wind is up top.
Yeah. I mean, they're also on hills a lot, right? I built this one on a little hill.
Yeah.
I thought that made sense.
Right.
That's probably also.
That probably makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, it's just clever.
But now you've probably seen them. They're just kind of ugly looking, very tall.
Wind turbines. You mean?
Yeah. The what we understand now, which is also kind of crazy because they're incredibly large. They're way larger than what you have here.
Yeah, I saw the top part of one lying down, being built. That was insane.
Yes.
I could not get over that view. I walked past it. Oh my god.
How do you even walk past it? It's too large. So yeah, they're
I was walking for hours.
They're crazy huge. And yeah, but there's a lot of them now. I think I read something about there being. Oh no, actually, here's another factoid for you. In the 18th and 19th century, Europe housed around 200,000 of them.
200,000.
Which is also a lot, but it's from the same website. So I don't know if this number is true.
Can we trust them?
Yeah, and now they produce electricity, which you are using right now to watch this video, and we are using right now to record this video.
But wind turbines, not those windmills, the kind I'm building right now.
No,
so what happened to actual windmills, like this kind of?
I think as I said, in the US, a lot, some of them are actually still in use because there are quite a few areas that do not have good access to water or electricity for some reason. So they still use these kind of water pumping systems because they work, and why change? Never touch a running system. But the rest of them, I think, are decommissioned, and maybe someone rebuilt them for living purposes. Maybe not, I don't know. But I think most of them are either taken apart or used as like a museum.
Which would be weird.
I actually don't know if because there has to be a better way to like pump water now and make flour and whatnot. There has to be a better way. You can't tell me that this is the best way to make it.
I mean, I don't know, but I really wouldn't think they're still using them somewhere to make flour.
I hope not, because it sounds exhausting. To have to maintain that building just for the purpose of making flour, awful. But it looks cool. But
pretty.
Yeah, pretty. And as I said, I don't think the new ones are as pretty as these.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely not.
But they account for. Oh, actually, I don't know what they account for in terms of like energy production worldwide.
Okay.
But I'm guessing.
Thanks for the cliffhanger.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if I've got that written down anywhere. No. But it's probably a lot because we have a lot of them, and we have a lot of wind too.
And a lot of electricity.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. That's what I thought. I thought some family might have bought this and just restored it, basically, and kept the outside kind of as it is. I built this after a windmill from Vienna, I think.
Nice.
It was really hard to find a reference picture, actually, but yeah, I kind of looked at that and tried to see what a windmill looks like, because it's not a very usual sight.
I agree. No. Did you know that most of the windmills in use today in the US are in the states of Texas, Iowa, and California?
California?
What?
That one surprises me.
Yeah, because they don't have water anyways, so what are they pumping?
They're grinding.
For all the forest fires. Gotta extinguish them with the windmills. That was horrible. My bad. So, I was thinking, if I were to sell you a windmill right now for a very low price, What would you
A
do
very
with it?
low price of
See,
$1
okay.
million.
No, I'm gonna sell it to you for $50, so you can spend all of your money doing whatever the hell you want.
Can I give the rest of my money to charity?
Okay, come on, you can give it to me.
That would be charity,
All
wouldn't
right,
it?
all right.
I think I would try to make a residential home out of it.
Would you live in it though, or would you just rent it out?
I
'Cause
don't
it's kind
think
of-
I could actually live in such a rural area where this would
Yeah.
probably be. I think I need my city life, but as a summer vacation home, why not? You mean?
Sure.
Um,
The high life.
Hey, you sold this to me for $50. I feel like, I don't know, I think a museum would probably be a good choice if this still has some original equipment and that kind of stuff, and it's like really authentic.
You could
I
really-
wouldn't really want to take away from the public because, as I said, I think it's kind of a cool thing.
You could also make a lot of flour.
I could, but living in the countryside for like 2 months, a year like this with all these flowers and this, just look at this little table outside. It just gives me the
And
vibes,
then-
the vibes.
And then you can give it to your kids, and they would just have a windmill.
yeah,
Those would be the coolest kids in school.
yeah, they would. I mean, they would have a long journey to
They
get
would
to school
probably
because
not
they're
get
in the
to
middle
school.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? I think it's just so, these really old buildings, they've just got something.
Yeah. What they have is terrible insulation.
That's so true. Yeah, I mean, I would renovate it.
Which would be
That would
really
also-
expensive.
Yes, but also, I mean, you sold this to me for $50, so I have a
See,
lot
but-
of
yeah,
money
but
left.
I'm looking at this, and I feel like a lot of these things aren't doable in real life because you can't make all those stones appear.
I think they are if you have the money.
That is probably
But also, I mean, the stones are supposed to be the actual authentic, like,
true. Sure.
history of the windmill. That's what it looks like, that's what it was built as. But yeah, I think we are actually nearly done with the outside. So I would want to encourage you to watch the inside video because it's also really fun and I really enjoy how the inside came out.
And I'm in that too.
Yeah, so catch us there.
See you later, alligator.
Subscribe. Click the notification bell.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I'd be really happy to hear from you and get some feedback and to catch you in the next one.
On the flippity flip.
Yeah, on a basketball court.
What?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.